All right, I wanted to make a video about everything we did here on the Monstaliner installation. You might be able to figure it out yourself, but here's what I learned. First thing, I taped off underneath the hood only to here. I probably should have gone up to the top there when the hood's closed. Let me close it real quick. When the hood's closed, hold on, sorry. When the hood's closed, you can still see some of the original paint underneath there, and that kind of bugs me seeing that little shiny strip. Next thing, the grill. I took the grill off, obviously, and took it all apart. There's 3 layers to it. You got the outer skin, the second layer, and the 3rd layer. It wasn't easy taking it all apart, but I knew that the results would be better. You wouldn't have bridge over from your product onto products that shouldn't have any product on it, like your headlights, bezels to this. So plus masking could be kind of tough sometimes. I took out the vents, took out the sprayers. On the hood, I took off the hinges and sprayed the hinges separately. You can see the OEM paint is still on the bolts. Not a big deal. Let me zoom out. I took off the corner here, took off the cowl here. Be really careful when you're taking this cowl off. I actually fractured it in the middle up here, and I had to JB weld it back together. Around the windshield, let me try to zoom in here. It came out really nice. I used this special tape that got underneath the molding and pulled it back and stuck it against the windshield. It's like $25 on Amazon. It's a 3M product. I saw a lot of videos on removing the antenna mount, and the majority of people will break it on removal. So this is one thing that I simply masked around, and it came out pretty good. You know, I don't think there's any bleed or bridging over. The doors, I left the hinges on after I got the doors totally lined up. Lining the doors up to the body is a major pain in the butt. So once I got it all lined up, I just kept it on, sprayed over it. The hinges work fine. I'm opening the door right now. Leaving the doors on was somewhat problematic. This main hinge here, sometimes you needed it disconnected, sometimes you needed it connected, and it's really, really, really hard to pull out manually. You have to get a pair of vice grips and really yank on it to get it to come out of the door. So I disconnected that for certain parts of the install. All the rubber moldings, that was pretty easy to take off and pretty easy to put back. There's some clips here and there. When you're putting it back together, do look for index tabs like this right here showing you where it should start. The front doors, I did not have to take the inner panels off. I masked off on the inside of the door about right there, all the way around. So the product wraps around the door to a little bit on the inside. As far as the jams go, I took this part off. It just has a couple little clippy zippies. I debated whether to do the entire jam or just part of it, and I decided to just do this part right here, and I kind of followed where it bridges in the middle. That way it might reduce chipping where there's a little not gap, but where it's not flat, it kind of changes. So I put it in the gap there. Inside the door, it comes into here, comes into there. Tuck tape in between here and the windshield. Right here was a tricky section. I couldn't get the special tape in there. I had to use regular masking tape. Just take your time on that. Down below, I got these rock sliders that are welded on, and there was no way I was going to be able to get behind the rock slider to spray it or prep it properly. So that's why I stopped the Monstaliner right here and just did spray paint from there down. And another reason, if rocks chip up in there, I didn't want to fracture the Monstaliner and start it peeling. I know that happens with Raptor. Monster's a little bit more flexible and forgiving. Rear doors were a little bit different. To get this little window out, there's a 10 millimeter bolt hiding underneath here. So you do have to take off the inner panel to get access to that 10 millimeter bolt. Once you get that bolt loosened, grab a hold of the top and pull it down and start working the molding out. Not a big deal. This guy popped off. So there's liner underneath there. Again, I went a little bit inside with the liner, not completely fill the door jamb. Another big decision was these corner armors, whether I was gonna, so many options to do here. Do I spray it with Monstaliner? Do I not? If I do I spray it separately? Do I leave it on? I decided to just use regular spray paint on it and remove it completely for different reasons. I did spray up here. That was a decision that was hard for me to make. I wasn't able to get a nice full coating on the inside. Not real hard to see. I mean, it's kind of hard to see, so it doesn't bother me. The rear door, tailgate, I did remove the entire tailgate, took off the door handles, just like I did on the rest of the car. Took off the door handles, took off the hinges. It's pretty easy. You get a T25 tool and you stick it in these holes here and you loosen up a little bolt that stays in there. And when you feel a little bit of resistance, you're able to pull this out and apart. Same thing with the door lock. So back here on the tailgate, again, I went inside a little bit so it wraps around. I'm happy with all that. The molding comes off real easy around the tailgate, so I removed the molding all around here and sprayed Monstaliner completely on the metal parts underneath there. A couple little clippy zippies in there that hold that together. What else can I say? Make sure you split up your coating and don't mix it all at once. It will harden on you. Yeah. That's it, my friend. Let me know if you have any more questions.